From HSBC Arena in Buffalo, the second of our MAAC men's semifinals. The third-seeded Fairfield Stags about to take on the number 2-seeded Rider Broncs, who grabbed a share of the regular season crown. And because of a tiebreaker, Niagara got the number 1 seed. They have just moved on to tomorrow night's 9 o'clock championship. And who will the Purple Eagles face? We will find out in the next 2 hours. And welcome back to Buffalo, everybody. Along with Rob Kennedy, this is Doug Sherman. And, well, we saw a good game in the first one. What are you looking at for our second semi, Rob?
Well, I think you're going to see contrasting styles. Rider, a very good offensive team when they get into a flow and rhythm, as good as anybody in this league. On the other side, Fairfield, the best defensive team, and certainly they gave Manhattan all kinds of problems last night with junk defense, boxing one. I think they're going to try and grind it out like they did last night.
And that's where we're going to start our scouting report for you for the Fairfield Stags on defense and with Dengai.
And Dengai showing you he had some offense as well last night, stepping out, hitting his first basket, but it all starts with his defensive presence inside. It's not a coincidence that they're the best defensive team because of Guy, and then Guy showing you his athletic ability on the monster dunk out in transition.
Terrence Todd, meanwhile, is the top offensive weapon, averaging for the Fairfield Stags 16 per game.
Absolutely, had 15 last night, and he was the guy that got things going early with a couple runners in the lane.
Meanwhile, for Rider, one of the most unsung heroes in the entire conference is a guy named Edwin Munoz, kind of an inside-outside player who does it all.
And in the first half last night, when they were struggling offensively, Munoz stepped it out, knocked down a couple threes, and showed that he can stretch out defenses. Very comfortable inside in the post as well. A terrific complimentary scorer to Jerry Johnson.
Meanwhile, you are in for a treat. The explosiveness of Jerry Johnson and his 19 points per game.
Absolutely. When the ball's in his hands, he can get by anybody. When his team was in trouble in the second half, he simply took over the game and put the rest of the team on his back.
The Rider Broncs are in the MAAC semifinals for the first time ever. They're trying to make the finals for the first time. It's coming up next on the MAAC Television Network. This game is brought to you by the Pepsi-Cola Company. It's the Cola. The New York Lottery, New York Mega Millions, dream bigger. JetBlue Airways, we like you too. And by FYE for your entertainment. And we're back inside the HSBC Arena in downtown Buffalo. The second MAAC semifinal coming up momentarily between the Fairfield Stags and the Rider Broncs. And let's take a look at today's starting lineups, brought to you by I Love New York. Come out and play in New York State. Fairfield goes with Marty O'Sullivan, DeWitt Maxwell, Dengai, Taekwon Goody, and Terrence Todd. And for the Rider Broncs, Edwin Munoz. And then the freshmen Jason Thompson, Paul Johnson, and Jerry Johnson, no relation. And Robert Taylor, another one of the key seniors here in this semifinal.
One of 3 seniors in the starting lineup for the Rider Broncs.
And today's coaching matchup brought to you by Anaconda Sports and The Rock, the official basketball of the MAAC. Tim O'Toole and Don Harnum.
And Tim won't be sitting for very long, I can guarantee you that. He'll be up and working the sidelines.
And the Fairfield Stags control the tip. Fairfield comes in with a record of 15-14, riding their first 3-game winning streak of the season. They have put it together at the right time. Guy rims it out. Thompson the rebound.
They try to get him a touch right off the bat, just as they did last night on the first offensive possession.
Here goes the terrific matchup here in this ball game. The quickness and ball handling of Jerry Johnson, who seems to be quicker with the ball, against Taekwon Goody, perhaps the best on-ball defender in the league. And there's our unsung hero for Rider, Edwin Munoz.
Well, Munoz, as we said, very comfortable and effective when he gets the basketball in on the low post, coming off a terrific game last night.
Rider and Fairfield split their 2 meetings during the regular season. And the winner of the rubber game here in Buffalo gets to play tomorrow night against Niagara for the MAAC title.
You see zone early from Rider. They'll stay with that zone because Fairfield not a very good outside shooting team.
But Maxwell very efficient inside. 6'5" left-hander who averages 11 points per game with his first 2.
And he's got a knack of getting himself inside to the bucket.
O'Sullivan tracks down the long rebound. Terrence Todd, the 6-foot junior from Neptune, New Jersey, off for Goody in the corner.
Goody has yet to score here in the MAAC tournament. He was shut out last night.
Johnson, he is lightning quick. Here's Paul Johnson. Munoz can do it from inside and from outside.
We saw that in the first half when he stretched out the defense. They were struggling offensively, stepping up and knocking down big shots. 36% from beyond the three-point line on the season.
15 and 9 last night, off to a quick start with all 5 Ryder points here today. From the baseline, little 12-foot jumper is good by Terrence Todd.
Todd able to hide on the baseline against that zone defense, moving without the basketball.
Taylor left alone for a moment. Munoz posting on Guy. Paul Johnson from 20. O'Sullivan with another rebound. Marty O'Sullivan won't look to shoot much in this offense, but he will get in there and mix it up on the glass.
Picked up a big charge last night, the 5th foul on C.J. Anderson. It was a big play, big defensive play in that game.
In that game, Maxwell was the leading scorer with 17 points for Fairfield. And Dengai had another double-double, 14 and 12. Paul Johnson with the finish off the turnover, and Ryder has a 7-4 lead early.
And Johnson's always their energy guy, making plays out in transition, defensive hustle plays, coming off a good game last night.
Taekwon Goody, in it goes to the paint. Maxwell missed a little runner. Dengai tips to himself, and thanks to that, Terrence Todd picks up 2 more.
Offensive rebounding was a huge key last night for Fairfield. It's a team that struggles at times out of their half-court offense, so they've got to get after it on the offensive glass to get themselves extra opportunity.
16:20 to go first half. Munoz can't get that one to fall, and O'Sullivan with his 3rd rebound.
And he's going to find open shots against the junk defense. Boxing one. Goody trying to keep the basketball out of Johnson's hand.
Todd misses on the fade. Munoz with the rebound.
The amazing thing, all season long, Fairfield hadn't played any boxing one. They stayed with it a long time last night. Johnson
misfires on his first attempt from the floor. Fairfield down a point with a chance to take the lead. This Fairfield team has an overall record of 15 and 14. Ryder is 18 and 10. O'Sullivan lost the handle. Fortunate that it went right back to Maxwell. Whistle before the shot against Paul Johnson. We'll take a break. The Ryder Broncs with a 1-point lead. And Paul Johnson, their 6'6" junior from Virginia Beach, Virginia, provide a little energy. The Ryder Broncs in town from Lawrenceville, New Jersey with an early 7-6 lead. And folks, Fidelis Care is proud to sponsor the Fidelis Care family section. Fidelis Care providing free or low-cost health insurance to all New Yorkers through the Child and Family Health Plus programs.
That's a family, huh? Mom getting into the act with the face painting as well.
Yep. And we are definitely in Buffalo Bills country. Doesn't have to be NFL season to see Bills stuff everywhere. Taekwon Goody, Terrence Todd, Dengai, DeWitt Maxwell, and Marty O'Sullivan, the same starting 5 for the Stags, out there in their red uniforms with the black lettering and white trim. Maxwell gets fouled on the way up by Thompson.
He's one of those guys that scores inside, not because he sits on the low post and is posting you up, but because he puts the ball to the floor and then gets himself to the rim. He's usually able to outquick other forwards, although with a matchup against Thompson that time, you wouldn't think that he had a quickness advantage.
Maxwell went for 17 points and 9 rebounds last night. He's got 3 here in the early going.
As you said, Doug, he was a leading scorer, and they're 9-1 when Maxwell is their leading scorer.
And the senior from Newark, New Jersey, gives Fairfield the lead. First time the Stags have led here this afternoon.
Talking to Tim O'Toole, he said, we're going to mix things up defensively. Now you see straight 3-2 zone. He said, Riders too good at executing out of their half-court sets. You can't let them get into a comfortable rhythm in the half-court.
Terrence Mouton has come into the game for Rider, number 22. He's a perimeter threat for the Bronx, and here he comes from the corner. Guy skies for the rebound.
Talk about getting over top of everybody, huh? He is so long and quick off the floor.
Now at the defensive end is where Guy gets most of his attention, but at this end he is much improved, and they do use him. As you see, rims out his second field goal attempt, just like the first, though.
And when he has a jump hook, the basketball's on its way down to the bucket. He's well above the rim with the outstretched hook.
And it's nearly impossible for anybody defensively in the MAAC to block that shot.
No one's going to go block his shot unless they get it down low as he's going up. When he extends, nobody's got that type of extension defensively to challenge him.
Shot clock inside of 10. 6 minutes gone here in the first half. Jerry Johnson isolated with Bell. Munoz, he did not get it off. No basket.
Fairfield, the best defensive team in the MAAC, doing a good job of keeping teams down. Opponents scored just 67 points per game against their D. That time, they solid possession forces the turnover with the shot clock violation.
Fairfield Stags are three-time winners of this MAAC tournament back in 1986 and 87, and then in 1997 when they came from nowhere to win the championship, and that was won right here in Buffalo. They were the 8th seeded team coming in, and they provided a little magic.
First look at Steve Castleberry as Cujo Sagadzi comes in as well. Castleberry gave him a huge lift last night, just 11 minutes of play, but 13 points. Terrific shooting performance, 6 of 8 from the field.
Ryder cold from the perimeter at the start. The only three-point bucket so far, Edwin Munoz. Jerry Johnson is yet to score.
The guy can face up. He's not afraid to spot up from three as he does there. 33% from beyond the three-point line on the season.
That's his first field goal here today, and it gives Fairfield a 4-point lead.
And at times, he's much more comfortable offensively facing up than with his back to the basket.
Again, the Bronx having trouble finding an open shot. And Guy denies the entry pass, knocking it out of bounds. Ryder will keep possession with 17 on the shot clock.
The guy thought about it initially, ball fake, and then steps back. As we said, he's comfortable facing up. He's worked on his face-up shooting.
Johnson floats it over the top of the big shot blocker, and we've got a foul as the Bronx are trying to snap a 7-0 Fairfield run.
His first step is just absolutely explosive. We see it in transition when he's got the basketball in his hands. And Timmy O'Toole said one thing we've got to figure out is a way to slow him down and not allow him to get into the lane.
This season, Aeropostale is donating an article of clothing for every free throw made during conference play. At the end of the season, Aeropostale and the MAAC are distributing these clothes to youth groups in our communities. Thank you very much to Aeropostale, and Jerry Johnson certainly done his part this season as the league's top foul shooter, 90%. He gets his first 2 points here this afternoon from the stripe. That snaps the 7-0 Fairfield run and gets the Bronx back within 2. Mouton goes for the steal, and he was able to reestablish his feet inbounds and save that ball. Thompson hammered by Bell, and he'll go to the line for 2.
Well, off the made foul shot, Ryder went full court pressure for the first time, and it paid off. The steal by Mouton allows them to get out in transition. Good job keeping his head up, waiting for Thompson to come free in the post.
Thompson, a good-looking freshman, made the All-MAAC rookie team this year, averaged 9 points and over 7 rebounds a game, which was 5th best in the conference.
Had a very good game in the second meeting between these two teams. Interestingly enough, both teams winning on the other team's home court. Had a double-double in that win at Fairfield with 12 points and 10 boards. Stay up in the full court pressure, and why not? They turned it over last possession.
Two senior guards against that pressure, Sagazzi and Goody. Bell hits for three.
Bell, a terrific shooter whose confidence has been lacking at times. No lack of confidence on that one. Lets it fly at the back end against the press.
Now 10 of his last 11, now 11 of his last 12 field goals have come from beyond the arc, so he's much more comfortable, obviously, around the perimeter. 12-12 to go first half for the tie.
A quick ball movement against the zone. They send it right back to Taylor, who continues his fine play. He's a guy playing with a ton of confidence coming down the end of his college career.
Well, he shares the captaincy of this Rider University team with Jerry Johnson, the other senior in the backcourt. He's usually given second billing, but he certainly is a very important part of this team. Bell, meanwhile, brings one home for the second straight time.
And Castleberry slow to get out to the corner out of their 3-2 zone. That's a tough slide for Castleberry. Needing to cover a ton of ground to get out into the corner to cover shooters.
Here we go to Castleberry, the 7-footer who was so effective last night. Taylor, nice move to free himself. Couldn't get the roll. Thompson fights for it. And a timeout called by Tim O'Toole and the Fairfield Stags, who will keep possession with 11:15 to go in the first half.
And he's the guy that got that timeout. So many times it's a player once he comes up with possession, but it was Tim O'Toole from the sideline that got the timeout to save possession.
Well, Rob, here is our Broadway Marketing mind-bending trivia question for game number 2. Which MAAC team has the winningest record in NCAA tournament play? This is a terrific question.
I had to cheat.
And I would have had to have cheated if I didn't have the cheat sheet in front of me. Broadway Marketing mind-bending branded solutions, and I absolutely would have gone in a different direction. We'll have the answer for you in just a couple of minutes. Should we give a clue? You want to give a clue?
Well, you know, they're not playing today. They're from Western New York. There you go. How's that?
Well, you just gave it away.
Well,
that's all right. We'll give you the official
People needed help
answer
with that one because I'm not so sure that you would have come up with it.
You got that right. Bell, Sagazzi, Michael Van Scoik just into the game, Maxwell and Guy. Sagazzi penetrates, looking for Guy, puts it up, can't get the roll. Thompson longer than the two Fairfield rebounders around him. Got the rebound, and Jerry Johnson picks up his dribble, finds Munoz.
He is long with those long arms, and one of the reasons why he's so active both on the offensive and defensive backboard.
And these Fairfield defenders, Rob, just fly around the floor.
Yeah, they close out on shooters.
Thompson over Guy.
Not many guys can say that, huh? And Thompson able to outstretch his long arms to get an easy shot in the lane. Nothing's easy in the lane, though, with Guy there defensively.
And you like to talk about getting the defender on the low post in jail, and he did a nice job of backing Guy down underneath the basket.
You've got to go right at him. If you try to adjust your shot and take it away from Guy, it gives him time to react with his long reach.
And then the long reach of Thompson gets him another block shot, and here come the Bronx trying to run the break. Taken away by Michael Van Scoik, who last night was a defensive stopper for the Stags. But Fairfield unable to do it at the other end, and we've got a foul after the turnover. It goes against Deng Guy, not where you'd want him to be picking up fouls. We'll take a break. We're back in Buffalo. Fairfield with a 1-point lead, 17-16. And let's get back to our riveting Broadway marketing mind-bending trivia question. I'm telling you, if you know this, you are a true fan of college basketball in Western New York. The winningest MAAC team in NCAA tournament play, the Canisius College Golden Griffins at 6-4. Broadway marketing mind-bending branded solutions. And I wouldn't have gotten it. It's been a long time since Canisius got those 6 victories. Certainly not within my memory. But, you know, the Griffs for many years played right next door at the old auditorium, the Aud, that was home of the Buffalo Sabres. It still stands, although it's been gutted. But now the Griffs play their home games back on campus.
Another look defensively from Fairfield. They get up in the full court pressure. Now matching out of it.
Munoz with very few options. The only one left was to fire it up.
And the changing defenses once again confusing Ryder as they did last night against Manhattan.
Alvin Carter has come into the game for Fairfield. Here's Bell trying to make it 3 in a row. A little strong on that one. Jerry Johnson will dribble up.
It's a different break when the basketball's in his hands.
Back to Munoz. An open look, this time from 20 rather than 25. In his range, and he knocks it down.
Absolutely. Johnson got himself deep into the lane, and that's the biggest difference in his game here in his senior season than a couple years ago. He would have been looking for shots first, instead finding his open teammate in Munoz.
Munoz leads everybody with 8 points now. Michael Van Scoik hits the 3 for Fairfield.
So Bell and Van Scoik were defensive stoppers last night out of the box and one. Both guys stepping up and hitting shots here in the first half.
Although, you know, in that limited time, Van Scoik also hit 7 points, and that was all in the first half.
Yeah, all in about a 4 or 5 minute run where he got a couple good looks.
Nice kick out to Thompson. Buries the wide open shot.
If he can step up and knock down those 15-foot shots and make that part of his repertoire, then he is going to be really hard to guard.
Ryder back on top by a single digit, 21-20. Here's Van Scoik again in the corner. This time Munoz steps out. Carter begging for the ball with his eyes as wide as saucers. Puts it up over Thompson, but he can't get the roll.
Good box out by Munoz to keep Guy off the offensive board.
Mouton on the reverse. Put it in, and Ryder's up by 3.
Oh, you see that extra gear in the open floor from Jerry Johnson. Mouton as well, extremely quick with the basketball.
You know, I'm really looking forward, as we talked a little bit about yesterday, and seeing how Terrence Mouton evolves next year without Jerry Johnson. He's shown signs as that lead type of guard that he can do it.
And Don Harnum very confident that Mouton will be able to step up from a secondary role to a primary role next year with the basketball in his hand.
Terrence Todd's the primary scorer this year for Fairfield. That's 6 points now for the junior guard. Only 6 feet tall, but able to penetrate and get a shot off.
And he certainly has been able to settle into that primary role.
Bell called for the hand check. We've got a timeout on the floor. Terrence Mouton and the Ryder Broncs have themselves a 1-point lead. The winner of this one gets Niagara tomorrow night in the MAAC title game.
Do you have ingrown toenails?
Constipation. Hemorrhoids. Diarrhea could be.
That little itch might be tough.
Remove back hair. Say no to BO.
Commercials. That's why we keep our heads out the window. Buddy, it's time to get serious.
Sirius Satellite Radio. Over 120 channels, including commercial-free music, plus news, talk, and sports. Want radio your way? Ride with the big dog. Sirius Satellite Radio.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, guys, listen up. Someone leave their lunch at the last rest stop. There's a sandwich and, oh, we got a Pepsi, still cold. Name on the back says Spartacus. Is there a Spartacus here to claim this?
I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus.
I'm Spartacus. I'm Spartacus.
Close ball game so far as Ryder enjoys a 1-point lead over Fairfield late in the first half. And Edwin Munoz, the junior from Passaic, New Jersey, as we said off the top, Rob, getting it done inside and out.
Well, that's the key. Versatile offensive player, able to step you inside and post you up comfortably. Also able to step out beyond the three-point line as he knocks down threes and stretches the defense out.
He averages 11.5 points per game, already with 8. Edwin Munoz, again, one of those guys a little bit overlooked. Rider University shared the regular season championship. Jerry Johnson made the first team. And Munoz would have been the next logical choice to make maybe a second or third team, but did not do it. Puts up some solid numbers again this year. There's the backdoor lob, defended by O'Sullivan. Paul Johnson couldn't get it down. There is Munoz. Castleberry, big like yesterday.
Absolutely. One of the reasons why he was able to score 13 yesterday, he had 2 offensive putbacks. You're going to be in the game, use your size at 7 foot to find some opportunity.
And did you notice how freely he was able to go to the rim because Dengai is on the bench? Here comes Johnson. He's got Taylor out ahead. Ryder's lead is 27-22.
And that's what Ryder wants to do, get out in transition. As soon as Johnson comes up with the basketball, he doesn't put it to the floor, an extra dribble. Instead, as soon as he realizes Taylor's there, he puts the basketball ahead. Castleberry making his presence felt on the offensive glass, using his 7 feet to go over top for the putback. And as we said, here's where they're at their best, ball in Jerry Johnson's hands. Taylor doing a great job of leaking out ahead of the field. Johnson found it.
Here's another good sign for you, Rob, if you are Ryder, as Castleberry gets involved. We are 14 minutes into the ball game. Jerry Johnson has yet to score a field goal, just a couple of foul shots. Nonetheless, Ryder leads by 5.
And you and I have talked about it consistently throughout this year. He defers to his teammates early on, and then all of a sudden when he feels like he's got to step up and take charge, he does that. Second half, they were struggling in the first half against Canisius. Then in the beginning of the second half, he simply took over the game, ends up getting his 20 points in a short span of time.
And he can do it on the big stage. His career high came in the 2002 MAAC tournament. As a freshman, he scored 36. Had 20 points and 8 assists last night against Canisius, with just the 2 free throws so far here this afternoon.
With that timeout, Tim O'Toole gets Goody back into the game along with Guy.
Jerry Johnson on the reach in. It's a 2-shot foul. As DeWitt Maxwell goes to the line, you see Johnson in for the strip. He picks up the personal.
Maxwell puts pressure on the defense with his ability to take it into the lane off the bounce.
Maxwell gets 1 out of 2. Ryder back with the ball on top by 4. Johnson with Taekwon Goody and Terrence Todd all over him. Castleberry with a nice catch.
Good ball reversal.
Taylor with the floater, can't get the roll. Castleberry sneaks in for the tip in.
And he's able to sneak in because Guy came across to challenge it. Didn't get a piece of the basketball on the block, and nobody got a piece of Castleberry.
Well, certainly with such a terrific shot blocker like Dengai, who tries to block everything, the one thing he can't do is ever box out.
Absolutely, and that's why you've got to be aggressive getting yourself to the offensive glass.
15 to shoot, and they go to Guy. Back out to his roommate, Taekwon Goody.
That's where Goody's inability to knock down outside shots hurts him. Heard me talking, so take that.
Well, Taekwon Goody with his first points here at the MAAC tournament this weekend.
And throughout the year, he's been a decent three-point shooter, but hasn't had the confidence coming down the end of the season.
Yeah, he was in the low 30s in terms of percentage throughout much of the season, but he's dipped down to 28%, and we have seen him be gun-shy to pull the trigger unless the shot clock is down. And then when it's that time of the shot clock, it's that much more difficult to get the shot off.
Well, solid screen and roll. Good screen by Castleberry. good patience by Johnson to keep his dribble alive and create some space to find Castleberry as he's rolling down the lane.
And Steve Castleberry, where have you been? He has been fantastic the last 2 days in terms of being active, and as a 7-footer in this conference, when he plays like this, he's going to be a difference maker.
Absolutely. The difference on that play, the solid screen, and the extra dribble by Johnson to create space to find Castleberry.
Well, he's always been efficient around the basket. Last year, second in the conference in field goal percentage at 55%. And if he is there doing what he did yesterday and so far here today, makes it so much easier for everybody else.
And he's got to score to stay on the floor, because at times he can be a defensive liability, especially out of their zone defense.
Rider having won 5 of its last 6, looking for its 19th win of the season here this afternoon. Maxwell forces it up. Castleberry rips it away from Guy.
A great defense by Thompson to get his hands up and make sure he just held his ground.
Just over 4 minutes to go left in the first half. Jerry Johnson having to work for every inch of floor. He turns it over, and here come the Stags. Goody look for the lob. Instead, he drops it off to Todd, and there's a foul on Paul Johnson. You had Dengai as the trailer, and you've always got to think the ball's going up to the big fella. But instead, he kept it down low, and Fairfield will go to the line.
Johnson trying to turn the corner, loses the basketball. Todd gives it up to Goody, and you're right, he's thinking about throwing it as high as you want to Guy. But instead, the defense getting back. The presence of Thompson on the break there with the transition D negated a thunderous dunk out on the break.
Well, we saw in the second round last night, Dengai went above the rim a couple of times for a couple of true highlight reel finishes.
And what he does is there's a huge margin of error on the pass. Put it wherever you want. You know, he'll go up and get it.
You certainly don't have to be perfect in throwing the lob to Dengai. That's 8 points now for Terrence Todd. Fairfield back within 3 at 31-28. They've got 2 seconds to get across, and Mouton just does clear the line as the shot clock hit 25.
Now they settle back into the zone, and Ryder with just 18 seconds to attack now.
Thompson from the high post.
Again, if he can develop that mid-range jump shot, he's going to be an effective player. That's the one part of his game he has not shown consistency throughout the year. At times, people won't guard him when he's out there at about the 15-foot range.
Thompson has 8. Munoz has 8 to lead Ryder, which leads by 5.
Two-man game between Guy and Goody. Castleberry with the knockaway.
Taylor, one-on-one. Lays it up and in. Nice body control for the senior from Philadelphia. He's got 7.
But again, Castleberry giving him a huge lift off the bench. We've seen him do it at the offensive end. Good defense there to start the break.
And again, as Fairfield sets up the 2-man game, when you've got Guy in the post, you can see how Jerry Johnson just sags off Goody and makes it that much more difficult for Guy. That time they went the other way, and Ryder comes back looking to find Jerry Johnson for his first bucket. Instead, he gives to Mouton. And a reach-in foul from behind on Todd. Well, Jerry Johnson has only 2 foul shots to his credit so far here this afternoon, but nonetheless, the Broncs are picking up for their leader. Ryder with a 35-28 lead over Fairfield.
450 years of Jesuit tradition are woven into a Fairfield University education, an education characterized by academic excellence and service to the community. Fairfield's success is fostered by a caring faculty that knows their students as individuals. Located just an hour from New York City, Fairfield University combines a park-like campus conducive to learning with the city's cultural and career advantages. Fairfield University, where education reflects the challenges and opportunities of a changing world.
Ryder has opened up a 7-point lead thanks to its complementary players, including Steve Castleberry. We send it over to Dave McGarity with some thoughts on the big 7-footer from Mullica Hill, New Jersey. Dave?
Thanks a lot, Doug. Yeah, you made a great comment. Where have you been all year, Steve Castleberry? And it's funny, I mean, I recruited the young man out of high school and played for me for a year, helped Maris win regular season championship, then went to a junior college and ended up back in the league at Rider. But he really was up and down all year, but has played terrific. Last night in the playoff game, looked like an all-league player. Did not show up on any of the all-league teams, but right now the matchup with Dengai and Steve Castleberry is very, very intriguing. So we'll see how it unfolds. Back to you, Doug and Rob.
No doubt about that, Dave. And Johnson trying for his first field goal. He's got it from long range. It's a 10-point Rider lead.
Just shooting right over top of the zone defense. He can stretch out with his range.
The senior captain from Lancaster has made it a double-figure advantage, and again, as the complementary players help to build the lead, once Johnson gets involved, you've got to like Rider's chances. And to have scored 38 points already in this half against a very good Fairfield defense, this Rider offense is doing wonders. Meanwhile, Michael Van Scoik with another three-pointer.
So a lot of complementary players on both sides stepping up and knocking down shots.
38-31. Under 2 minutes to go here in the half. Taylor, Mouton, Jerry Johnson, Munoz, and Thompson on the floor for the Bronx.
Now Johnson's got Goody.
Another mid-range jump shot by Thompson. This time he comes up short. Goody with the rebound to dribble up.
And that's Thompson's first missed field goal.
Van Scoik starting to feel it. Misfired. There's a takeaway by Maxwell in the reverse.
Absolutely terrific play by Maxwell. Didn't bail out in transition. Instead, able to sneak back and come up with the steal and a tough finish inside.
Maxwell now is 7. Todd has 8 to lead Fairfield. And the Stags back within 5, just over a minute to go. Van Scoik shadowing Jerry Johnson. Guy let it go. Munoz missed, and then Guy gets the foul.
And there's another example. You've got to go to the offensive boards when Guy is guarding you at the other end. There's a terrific save. And smart play by Maxwell to get back into it. And then a tough finish inside as he goes with the reverse and finishes with his natural left hand. But when Guy's guarding you, you know that he's going to leave you to go challenge shots and trying to come up with blocks, so you've got to get yourself to the offensive board, just as Thompson did on that possession.
And the reason Dengai is sitting down, he's just picked up his second personal foul, so Tim O'Toole will try to protect his all-league center. Thompson into double figures. He's the first player here this afternoon to get to that point. And Rider's lead is back up to 7. Bell, O'Sullivan, Van Scoik, Maxwell, and Todd out there for the Stags. Van Scoik being hounded by Johnson. 15 on the shot clock, and now Todd comes out, and he will trigger the offense.
He's the guy with the shot clock running down. You want him to break down the D.
Maxwell somehow gets it up and in over Thompson.
So they go high pick and roll, and Maxwell on the roll. Todd able to find him.
9 points now for Maxwell. 5 seconds to go in the half. Jerry Johnson from deep. Thompson tips no. Taylor with the rebound, but time will expire. And that is the end of the first half with a 40-35 Rider lead.
And both teams getting some big contributions from complementary players, especially the Rider Bronx. It hasn't been Jerry Johnson. Instead, it's been the likes of Thompson, Castleberry off the bench, and Munoz. Complementary guys stepping up.
And Rider, having scored 40 points in the first half, doing it against a very good Fairfield defense. Right now, we send it back over to Dave McGarity with Coach Arnhem.
Thanks a lot, Doug. I'm here with Coach Arnhem, and Donnie, I thought your front line did a terrific job.
It really did. They're a hard team to score on inside, but I thought we got the right mix of inside-outside.
I'd like to know what you gave Steve Castleberry to eat the last couple of days.
He's pretty fired up, isn't he?
He did a great job. Listen, best of luck in the second half.
Thanks, Dave.
All right. Back to you, Doug and Ron.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Don. And as mentioned, Steve Castleberry with the 6 points off the bench, and Rider has itself a 5-point lead. We'll be back with our halftime show after this on the MAAC Television Network. This game is brought to you by Verizon Wireless. We never stop working for you. I love New York. Come out and play in New York State. By Pontiac, the official performance machines of the NCAA. Broadway Marketing, mind-bending solutions. And by Grayline, the best way to see New York. Through the first half of play, neither first-team All-Star really did much offensively. Jerry Johnson for Rider, just 1 out of 3 from the floor, 5 points. And for Fairfield, Dengai, well, only 3 points on 1 field goal, but that stat on the right is the most eye-popping.
Absolutely no blocks, and he wasn't active. He was missing in action. In their win against Rider, he had his best game of his college career. 25 points, 9 rebounds, and 10 blocks. He's got to assert himself and become much more active at both ends of the floor.
And this is the nation's leading shot blocker at nearly 6 per game. Rider with the ball to begin the second half. Taylor set up out of bounds. His foot was on the sideline, and so the turnover gives it back to Fairfield. Let's take a look at those first half statistics brought to you by FYE for your entertainment, music, movies, games, and more.
The Riders shooting it at 50%, 6 of 10 from beyond the three-point line against the best defense in the MAAC.
Goody on the kick out. Can't get the roll. He's going to have to knock some of those down to keep the defense honest.
You saw in those stats, Rider did a terrific job in the first half, out-rebounding Fairfield by 9. Solid rebound again by Paul Johnson.
Foul on DeWitt Maxwell, his second. And the first here in the second half, just 35 seconds in. This is Jerry Johnson.
And even though he didn't score it, he certainly was a catalyst getting other guys involved.
There's a wide open look, and number 21 connects.
Well, that's a gamble. You stretch the defense out, try and trap out of it, but you lose sight of Johnson, and he's got the range to step it out to 25.
So that's his second triple. He's got 8 points now, averaging almost 19 per game. Todd in with the big guys. Maxwell tips, and Guy pulls it out to Van Scoik. His quick release finds nothing but net.
One of those complimentary players that stepped it up in the first half with 6. He now has 9 on 3 threes.
43-38 Rider. Paul Johnson, Taylor, Thompson, Jerry Johnson, and Munoz, and it's Thompson who is the lead scorer in the first half with his first bucket here in half number 2.
Well, moving without the basketball, diving through the lane. Rider has handled the full court pressure and gotten the ball quickly out of traps. Munoz sensing the trap coming, and with Goody, he's able to just look right over top. Thompson moving without the basketball, strong into the post.
Foul number 3 on Maxwell. The other number 1, uniform number 1, Thompson, completes the three-point play. 13 for the freshman out of Mount Laurel, New Jersey. Todd gets away from the double team, and that leaves Van Scoik open again. And an over-the-back foul against Jerry Johnson. On Jerry Johnson, his second foul. He and Paul Johnson both have 2 fouls for Don Harnum's club. 2 fouls apiece on the Fairfield side for Guy and Bell, and 3 for Maxwell. Here is Maxwell, fouled by Munoz. 2-shot foul.
Maxwell maneuvers so well along the baseline. Looked like he'd gotten himself pinned underneath the bucket. Moving without the ball, slicing into the lane. See, he just uses his body just enough to back Munoz back up into the lane.
Foul number 2 on Munoz. This season, Balance Bar Food Company and the MAAC are promoting healthy lifestyles to students, alumni, and fans. And today's tip: always seem to be watching television, watching the MAAC basketball tournament this weekend. Well, do some stretching or some easy exercises as you watch your favorite ball games and shows. The Balance Bar family of nutritional products aims to aid in the passionate pursuit of everyday endeavors and activities by providing energy that lasts. Jerry Johnson being hounded by the Fairfield ball hawk, Taekwon Goody.
Yeah, back in the box and 1 right now, and Goody hanging all over Johnson. That'll free up opportunities for other guys.
Well, we saw it work against Keedron Clark and St. Peter's yesterday. This time, Jerry Johnson able to free himself with a 17-footer.
And Goody got caught and hung up on the screen, and by the time he recovered, the quickness of Johnson to get by him.
Well, trying to beat a box and one is as much about what your teammates do as what it is you who are the focus of that defense.
Because it's usually very hard to find good shots for the guy who has the one defender hanging all over him. We saw that last night as the box and one totally took Peter Mulligan out of the ball game and frustrated him.
Guy still frustrated on the offensive putback, but Maxwell able to clean it up.
Yeah, he's the guy right now bringing energy, trying to get things done inside.
13 points for DeWitt Maxwell.
They continue to change up defenses. Now they go back straight man.
Either way, it's Goody with the assignment on Jerry Johnson.
Take that back. And again, they continue to switch things up. Been able to keep teams off balance. Johnson starting to get frustrated by the defensive pressure against Goody as Goody chasing Johnson all over the place.
That one rims out on Johnson. Guy with a rebound. Todd, rather than going to the reverse with his weak hand, tried to go up with his strong hand on the left side and winds up getting fouled.
Jerry Johnson's starting to heat it up, getting a good step on the defender, getting himself inside. We said that Dengai struggled in the first half, and his frustrating game continues.
He's missed 4 out of his 5 field goal opportunities. And the foul against Munoz, his 3rd. Ryder holding on to a 6-point lead. Down to 5. And there you see him taking a seat. And so Steve Castleberry will again be asked to play a big role, which he has been up to the task so far here in Buffalo this weekend. Todd gets into double figures with 10. There's Castleberry, who in that first half off the Ryder bench scored 6 points. It's a big lineup for the Ryder Bronx. 7-footer Castleberry, 6'10 Thompson. Paul Johnson on the wing with the ball now, and he's a long perimeter player at 6'6. And then Taylor and Jerry Johnson.
And Goody's got the quickness to just chase Jerry Johnson all over the place out of the box and one. And again, that'll free up opportunities and lanes for other guys. Taylor stepping up, recognizing it. You've got to make sure that you get yourself into gaps against the box and one.
Goody, Maxwell, Van Scoik, Guy, and Terrence Todd. Crafty left-hander gives it to another crafty left-hander in Maxwell. Todd. Taylor the rebound. Here Jerry Johnson has the ball in his hands, uses the big pick, and the 17-footer is off the mark. Thompson rips it away and throws an elbow, an unnecessary elbow. Maxwell goes down. And we've got a foul call that takes us to our officials' timeout. 15:39 to go in regulation. Ryder by 6.
Back in Buffalo, Ryder up by 6, and we're going to see how they've gotten this lead, being patient against the box and one. You've got to get good ball reversal. You see the good defense by Goody takes Johnson away. That's going to open up lanes for others. You've got to be patient, move the basketball, and then you've got to try and attack and get into gaps. Ball fake right there by Taylor allows himself to get into the gap and pull up and hit the shot. Be patient, don't force things, and make sure that you attack and probe, getting into gaps against the box.
Rob, before that timeout, the personal foul went against Michael Van Scoik of Fairfield. That's 1st and the 3rd against the Stags. Now let's see how Ryder attacks here.
One of the things that's hard is you'll go a whole season without seeing a whole lot of box and one. Amazingly enough, Fairfield hasn't played box and one all season long up until last night.
Do you think that's something head coach Tim O'Toole may have been consciously saving for the postseason?
Well, what he said is we had some extra practice time and had the ability to put it in as Thompson continues his fine play with the jump hook on the block. But with the extra practice time, able to switch things up. It was so effective last night. He knew coming into today that they were going to try and ride it as much as they could.
I mean, how frequently do you think coaches in college basketball hold on to things like that, thinking long-term down the road and trying to spring something in the postseason?
Usually not very much. It's not like football where all of a sudden you try and keep schemes away from guys and things like that. It takes a while to not only implement but execute, so you're usually not saving stuff. Then guys not been saving things. He just hasn't been able to find himself many good offense opportunities. That time, he gets it off the glass. He was very quiet throughout that first half, even though he hasn't gotten things done from the scoring standpoint here in the second. He has been active. He now has 4 rebounds.
A quiet afternoon for the Dinka tribesman, native of Sudan. He's 23 years old.
Castleberry using his size. Nice skip pass. Robert Taylor again doing a nice job, pounding it into the paint. And Thompson goes right through the double team. Van Scoyt got in there, not able to bother him.
30-second timeout called. Called by the Fairfield Stags, who find themselves down by 6. Well, Rob, the New York Lottery MAAC Scholar Athlete of the Year is St. Peter's guard Corey Hinnant of Bayshore, New York. Winners were selected based on GPA, community participation, and good sportsmanship. The New York Lottery, supporting education since 1967, salutes Corey Hinnant for his achievements. Doug Sherman, Rob Kennedy, and Dave McGarity back in Buffalo with the second of our 2 semifinals at the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference Tournament. Glad you could join us here again this afternoon. And keep in mind, it'll all culminate tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. Top-seeded Niagara has already punched its ticket for the championship game, and the Stags and the Bronx fighting it out to try and get a spot alongside the Purple Eagles tomorrow night.
This is the 3rd year of the new format of the MAAC tournament, where the regular season champion gets a double bye. In each of those 3 years, it's been a matchup of number 1 versus number 2. Number 1's already there as the Niagara Purple Eagles. Know that they'll be in that final. Will the number 2 seed Rider Bronx be their opponent? Who knows? We'll find out in about 14:44.
Well, let's take a look at the brackets. Brought to you by Pontiac. The first ever G6 from Pontiac is equipped with the most powerful standard V6 in its class. With action, anything is possible. Check out a G6 today at your local Pontiac dealer. Pontiac, official performance machines of the NCAA.
And despite all the balance throughout the regular season, pretty much throughout the entire bracket, things have gone true to form. The only upset, number 5 Iona over number 4 St. Peter's. Not much of an upset, and especially the way that Iona played throughout the weekend.
And if indeed our matchup tomorrow night in the final is number 1 versus number 2, Niagara versus Rider, you'd be in for a treat, because the 2 regular season showdowns were absolute classics.
Especially the last game that you and I had in the regular season finale, 113-106 in overtime, a game that saw 28 different lead changes. That was just a tremendous college basketball game.
Mouton gets hit on the way up. Foul against Terrence Todd. Yeah, that really was, and it showed Rider at its best, at its explosive best.
Yeah, scoring 113 points, turning it over just 5 times. That's a mind-boggling statistic. And, you know, you see that type of scoring. Obviously, it was in overtime after 95 all at the end of regulation. But it wasn't a game where everything was done in transition.
No.
So much of the scoring was just done out of great half-court offense execution by both teams.
And the game that was played up in Lewiston, just up the road at Niagara University, also turnovers were almost non-existent in a game that went over 100 points. It was amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we certainly don't want to get ahead of ourselves, because Fairfield wants to be in that championship game tomorrow night. Terrence Todd, after having just picked up his second foul, scores a bucket at the other end.
And even though it seems that Rider's been in control here for a while, the lead is just at 6. They haven't been able to stretch it back out.
There you see Goody, number 5, doing all he can to keep the ball away from Jerry Johnson. And
he has bothered Johnson.
He really has.
With his quickness and strength. Hanging all over him, not worried about giving help on anybody else, just trying to keep the ball out of Johnson's hands.
Castleberry showing off the range.
Once again, Steve Castleberry with a terrific performance again here, backing it up off the great performance last night.
Now he's reached his season average in points with 8. Guy back out to Goody. And again, watch Johnson on the defense. He can go right down and immediately double team, begging Goody to shoot.
You got to get the two-man game with Todd and Guy if you're going to try and get something out of it, as opposed to Goody. Marty O'Sullivan gets into the scoring column with a nice-looking jump hook in the lane.
First 2 points for the sophomore from the Rochester area. Played his high school ball at powerful McQuaid Jesuit. 13 minutes to go here in regulation. A 6-point ball game. Castleberry throws it down. It's back to an 8-point Bronx lead.
And it all starts with another solid screen from Castleberry. So many times the screener is going to find himself good shots, as he has done a couple of times here today.
Goody, O'Sullivan, Guy, Todd, and Van Scoyk on the floor for the Fairfield Stags. Guy, with that trajectory down to the jump hook, does get it to fall.
Able to post up inside against Castleberry, and the extension on that jump hook.
7 points now for the 6'9" senior. Nice look inside Mouton, but he finds Dengai in his hip pocket, so he's wise to kick it out. O'Sullivan the rebound. And still, Dengai has yet to pick up a blocked shot off the up fake, and Castleberry picks up the foul. Now there's a matchup that I guess could be exploited, because Castleberry cannot defend on the perimeter. Here's a look at that memorable day on Senior Day, as Jerry Johnson and Don Harnum closed things out for the regular season at Alumni Gym, and Johnson was just terrific against Niagara.
Well, coming down the stretch, he just simply took the game over, knocking down threes in transition, hit the big three to get them their lead in overtime. One of those memorable nights, your last game at home, and he made the most of it.
And he scored 28 points in that game, and in that game went over 2,000 for his career. That foul on Castleberry, number 3.
Castleberry picking up a couple quick fouls, as Dengai using his quickness to get by Castleberry.
And that's certainly a mismatch if they are on the perimeter, or, even 10 feet away from the basket, or down the post. Castleberry has a fighting chance.
Guy gets the shooter's roll. Gets it up on the front of the rim, uses a backspin to get it to go.
Well, it's been good to see Dengai back from that serious ankle injury suffered midway through last year. Having a terrific senior season, hoping to hear his name on draft day coming up later on this spring in the NBA draft. 2 free throws gives him 9 points. Still no block shots, though, for the nation's premier shot blocker. What do you think about the tempo so far in the first 8+ minutes here in the second half, Rob?
I think Fairfield's been able to slow it down. A little bit more of a grind here in the second half than it was in the first.
And we'll take a break. 11:43 left to go in the second. Ryder holding on to a 4-point lead over Fairfield. Coming into the ball game, you wouldn't have thought that the center with more points between Dengai and Steve Castleberry would be that guy, Steve Castleberry, but just like last night when he scored 13 into double figures this afternoon.
And certainly he's had a presence, couple offensive putbacks off the offensive boards, and he certainly has been a pleasant surprise. But with all that said, and again, it seems like Ryder's basically been in control for much of the game. They lead only by 4, and all of a sudden Fairfield's starting to change the tempo of the game.
Munoz back into the game playing with 3 fouls. This is him with the basketball, number 20 for the Bronx. Picked up his dribble, and fortunately for him, Paul Johnson came out to him.
Well, Sagazzi hanging all over Jerry Johnson on one side, and Todd doing the same to Mouton on the other wing.
Now Guy drops back as Castleberry comes out between the rings. Mouton looking for some space. Munoz with the 20-footer.
And he had plenty of space out on the perimeter. Everybody worried about getting back into the paint to take away the lane. Frees up an open look for 3 for Munoz.
First point since the early going for Munoz. He's now got 11. With just under 11 minutes left in regulation. 61-54 Ryder. Cujo Sagazzi to Bell in the corner. Castleberry closes out. Spotting up for 3. Guy off the mark. Sagazzi with a long rebound.
After getting beaten badly in the first half on the backboards, Fairfield starting to close that gap.
From the baseline, Bell can't connect. Paul Johnson down to help with the glass.
Tough rebound in traffic, going over top of people.
Rider teammates trying to set screens to free their teammate Jerry Johnson. It'll be Rider basketball.
Everybody gets into the lane. Solid screen by Castleberry. Knocks down Todd by the time Bell recovers back out to him. Basketball's out of Munez's hands for the open look.
Paul Johnson, Jerry Johnson, Thompson, Munez, and Mouton on the floor for the Bronx. So Castleberry on the bench after giving Don Harnum several very good minutes here in the second half. Paul Johnson from downtown. Guy up there for the rebound. We haven't seen him above the rim that much here this afternoon. Typically, he spends the whole afternoon up above the rim. One of the true aircraft carriers in the entire country. Guy works on Munez, and Munez is called for his fourth foul.
A Guy being more aggressive here in the second half. We've seen him step out to the perimeter, put the ball to the floor to get by people. He was able to get around Castleberry. Looked like Munez had pretty good defensive position, but instead they called a block.
And so that is a tough break for Rider with 9:39 to go. Munez, with the 4 fouls, will be replaced in the lineup. And Dengai getting his points more from the line than from the field. There's a look at Edwin Munez. As we talked about yesterday, the story about Dengai is absolutely remarkable. 6 years ago, he was a refugee fleeing war-torn Sudan. Some of his family members have made it to the United States in recent years. He's one of 9 siblings. 6 of them have made it to the U.S. His mom is also in the States, living out in Iowa. His dad, though, is still in Sudan. 11 points now for Guy.
And now with Munez out, they change up the jump defense, go triangle and 2. Todd hanging all over Mouton. Sagazi on Jerry Johnson.
Taylor hits the runner.
And he's the guy that's going to have to step it up. Munez gets out of the game, so you figure you change it up. You lose one other scoring option for Rider. You go triangle and 2, but they've not been able to handle Taylor against the junk defenses when he's put the ball to the floor and gotten into gaps.
Todd, Sagazi, Guy, Bell, and O'Sullivan on the floor for the Stags. Under 9 minutes to go in the half in this second MAAC semifinal. Shot clock under 10. Terrence Todd, he's a left-hander, goes to the right side and kicks to Bell, who's lost the scoring touch that he had early in the game. And here comes Jerry Johnson with numbers. All by himself, comes up short. Loose ball grabbed by Sagazi, and here comes Guy.
Coming at you. That one's easy.
Dengai now with 13 points. A monster dunk indeed.
And that was a big turnaround. Looked like Rider was going to get an easy 2 in transition when Johnson split the defense and got to the rim. Instead, it's a rim-rattling dunk at the other side for Guy.
And like you say, rather than a 9-point lead, it's back down to 5, and we've got a foul on the entry pass.
And Fairfield continues to just hang around.
Well, let's send it back over to Dave. He's got some thoughts on Jason Thompson, the star freshman for Rider.
Oh, thanks a lot, Doug. Yeah, he's sort of been not talked about a lot tonight because he's quietly become the leading scorer here with 15 points tonight. And watching him develop throughout this year, Doug and Rob, I mean, I think this kid is going to be an outstanding player in this league. And, it's funny, I go back to 3 years ago when Jerry Johnson was the great freshman, and you had the player of the year, Mario Porter, on that team. So they got a great tandem going again here with a great freshman and a great senior. So back to you guys.
And certainly the length of Thompson, his activity and ability to score around the rim. But what we've seen from him today is the ability to step out and knock down that 15-foot jump shot as well. And if he can stretch defenses out and keep them honest from the perimeter, boy, is he going to be one special player for the Bronx.
Sagazi in the corner. Shot clock at 15. This is the way the Stags like to play. Work the ball, get the shot clock down, and try to find a good shot.
Good ball movement against the zone.
Bell with Thompson to beat. 3 on the shot clock and an offensive foul.
Great defensive possession there. The closeout by Thompson to force Bell to put the ball to the floor, and the defensive rotation by the weak side to come over and pick up the charge.
Armel Minion stepping in to give Bell his 4th personal foul. Ryder holding on to a 5-point lead, but here comes Dengai and the Stags. We're back in Buffalo. Fairfield down by 5 to Ryder in the MAAC semifinals, and let's take another look at what is our Pepsi Slam of the game, and it was coming right at you. Here we see Dengai going up and throwing it down with our Pepsi Slam of the game. Pepsi gets the cola.
In his athletic ability, he covers ground, bounding up the floor, so light on his feet. And then the extension. He's got that incredibly long arm span and takes advantage. That's why he blocks so many shots. And every time we have a game, he's going to be your Pepsi Slam of the game.
Absolutely. Well, he's got 13.6 rebounds. Only 3 field goals so far here this afternoon.
And Minion still out on the floor after coming up with that nice defensive rotation and pick up the charge.
Taylor, Thompson, Minion, Mouton, and Jerry Johnson. And we've got an illegal screen against Armel Minion trying to free up Jerry Johnson.
And Minion getting time because of the foul trouble to Muñez.
Muñez on the bench with 4 fouls. Meanwhile, Steve Castleberry has 3 fouls. So the 2 most productive interior players for Ryder, along with Thompson, on the bench in foul trouble.
And so Minion on the floor trying to sneak a couple extra minutes.
Here's Bell working the baseline. They've had Guy at the high post, setting the screen for Goody. Shot clock down to 10.
Leading scorer Terrence Todd on the bench. So who's going to be your offensive catalyst here?
Maxwell has it stripped away by Taylor. Thompson comes up with a loose ball for the Bronx. That certainly was not what Fairfield was looking for out of that offensive set. Mouton tries to make them pay. Minion, the last to touch out of bounds, back to Fairfield.
And Mouton got a good look at it. 40% on the season from beyond the 3-point line. That's a good-looking shot that didn't fall.
This game has been relatively close from the beginning. Ryder led by 5 at halftime at 40-35. And it's still a 5-point margin at 63-58. Goody for 3. It's good.
They could use a little offense out of their diminutive point guard. Stepping up and knocking down the 3. Showing you some senior leadership. Hasn't had the confidence to take that shot very much here in the last couple games, but stepped right into it.
Well, we talk about the senior class of Niagara. Goody made the mistake of not saving the ball. And a fantastic play, giving up his body by Jerry Johnson to save the ball off the leg of Goody, but he is very slow to get up.
Great hustle here off the long rebound. Goody thinks he's got an opportunity to keep it. Tries to box him out, but instead Jerry Johnson comes over top to knock it off of Goody.
That could turn out to be one of the plays of the game. Fairfield gets that ball down 2. Instead, because of Johnson's hustle and giving up the body, they keep it up 2.
And it could be a play as well because you saw Johnson come up limping. We'll see whether or not that slows him down at all.
Well, get the latest MAAC news and scores sent right to your wireless phone by signing up for the MAAC Verizon Wireless Coaches Corner at MAACsports.com. Verizon Wireless, we never stop working for you. Well, I have a feeling that even if Jerry Johnson loses a little bit, he's still going to be the quickest guy on the floor.
Yeah, except for the fact with Goody's quickness against him, he's going to need every burst of speed that he usually has.
Well, Jerry Johnson been held in check with only 10 points so far here tonight. In spite of that, the Ryder Bronx with a 2-point lead. The inbound man, Taylor, left alone, and he hits, so a big swing. It's a 5-point lead again for Ryder.
Well, the Fairfield defense continues to take Johnson away, forcing other guys to step up and take shots. The problem for the Stags, those guys are stepping up and making shots.
5 Ryder players now in double figures. Johnson 10, Taylor 14, Castleberry 10, Thompson 15, and Muñez 11.
But I still like the strategy. Take Johnson away and let other guys step up and beat you.
Pick and roll to Maxwell. Thompson, foul and one. A chance for a three-point play for DeWitt Maxwell.
And once again, getting it done inside. He does such a great job of finding open space. He's constantly moving without the basketball. Terrence Todd finds him on the dive down. And again, able to finish inside. So many times you got a lefty in the post. It's tough to react and get a good shot challenge.
Michael Van Scoyk has come back into the lineup for Fairfield. And Maxwell at the line, a 69% foul shooter. Trying to once again make it a two-point ball game. He can't do it. Munoz back into the game for Ryder with a rebound. Munoz left alone from 21. Guy the rebound.
He's got fresh legs, having sat down on the bench with those 4 fouls for a while, but had a quick trigger on that. Tempo here in the second half clearly in favor of Fairfield. They've been able to slow it down. This is where they want to go. This is a team that's not going to beat you with great offensive flow. They want to try and shorten possessions.
Goody still with the dribble with 10 seconds to shoot. Guy sets the pick. Gonna have to hurry. Maxwell fires it up. Munoz the rebound. Jerry Johnson, quick pass up ahead. Thompson can't catch it, and it goes back to Fairfield.
And a bad decision there by Johnson in transition. Forcing it, nothing was there.
He's probably thinking, well, Jason Thompson is 6'9" and about as long as anybody, but not quite long enough.
He had his head up and thought he saw Thompson. Thompson frustrated because he couldn't make the catch. But that's because of the good defensive rotation. Transition D by the Stags.
4 minutes left in regulation. One of these two teams will meet Niagara tomorrow night for the MAAC title. Maxwell off the mark. Another rebound for Thompson.
And that with Guy on his back. Solid box out.
Jerry Johnson, the quintessential combo guard. Puts up his own shot and hits it.
And this is when he usually steps up and starts taking over, just as he does there. Hiding behind the high screen to find the open look from 3.
It's Johnson time, and we've got a timeout with the lead back up to 6.
It's amazing. He senses that all of a sudden his team in a little bit of a stagnant offensive situation. Game on the line. You get down to the 4-minute mark, and he's going to step up and take and make big shots. We saw it last time in the regular season against Niagara, where he killed the Purple Eagles with a couple tough three-point shots. That time had a good look, and he's fired up. Certainly doesn't look like the ankle slowed him down on that.
And credit Thompson on the fly, realizing if I, as the trail man, set the nice pick, Johnson will free himself up for the shot.
And there's that great scoring distribution. Forced by the junk defenses from Fairfield. There haven't been a lot of good open looks for Jerry Johnson. He's been able to find a couple in transition, as he did there. Not in a fast break situation, but at the trail end. A little delayed break. Able to get himself the open look behind that high screen.
Fairfield down by 6 with the ball. Thompson with a block shot.
Boy, he has been active all over the place. Great rebound last time. Doing it on the defensive end as well. Ryder up by 6. Back after this.
Ryder University 69-63 over Fairfield University. And after last night's second round game, you talked to head coach Don Harnum on our postgame show, and he said, did you hear that gorilla climbing off my back? Well, they had never made it to the semifinals of the MAAC tournament before this year. Now Don Harnum trying to make it to the MAAC finals for the first time. This copyrighted telecast of the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of the MAAC and MAAC Properties, a division of Host Communications.
Ryder out of the zone, now going back straight man. Here's where Terrence Todd's got the ability to beat you off the dribble.
On cue, the little fadeaway from the baseline pulls Fairfield back within 4.
And he's been quiet for a while. He's got to step up and try and make sure he gets around people into the lane to create pressure on the defense.
14 points now for Terrence Todd. Mouton's back into the ball game for Ryder, along with Thompson, Jerry Johnson, Munoz, and Taylor.
Goody just hanging all over Jerry Johnson. Doesn't matter if he backs up to half court. Goody hanging right there in his face.
It's basically a game of 4-on-4 with the shot clock down to 5. Mouton penetrates, had nowhere to go. Shot clock at 1. Taylor puts it up. Thompson tied up by Goody, and the possession arrow gives the ball to Fairfield.
A good defensive possession. Ryder out of sync offensively coming out of that timeout situation. Thompson nearly had himself another rebound. Came out late. Tell you what, this would have been a huge shot for Taylor if he was able to knock that one down late in the shot clock. And how about Taekwon Goody? He's all over the place. You bring the basketball down, he's going to get it.
He is a quintessential ball hawk, no question about it. The 2004 MAAC Defensive Player of the Year.
And after Todd turned the corner against the man, they go zone this possession. Chikazi makes him pay with the 3 over top the zone in the corner.
Forget the fact that Cujo only is a 29% three-point shooter. He just hit a huge shot to pull Fairfield back within a point.
And this is exactly where they wanted to be, with a chance to get this game down to a possession-by-possession game, down by 1, under 2.
This is the closest the game has been since 14-14, way back in the first half.
And here's where they've got to figure out a way to free up Johnson. Here comes the screen for Munoz.
Guy comes out to help. Johnson gives it back to Munoz for 3.
And that is just a huge play by Jerry Johnson. Doesn't force it. He's not selfish. It's been a struggle for him to find shots all game long. Good solid screen by Munoz. The pick and pop, and Jerry Johnson finds him. Here he comes, turning the corner. Look at all the red jerseys around them. The presence of mind to figure out who's open, and Munoz able to step up and knock down the 3, as he's done all game long. But it's Jerry Johnson who makes that play.
Munoz again coming up with a clutch play. You see the 14 points. He has been extremely efficient late in the season for Don Harnum's club. He had the big game in the regular season finale when, boy, they put up 113 points. That's the most ever in the 45 years of Alumni Gymnasium, the home of the Ryder Bronx.
Yeah, 23 and 11, and you look at the numbers across the board in that game with Robert Taylor matching his career high of 23. Certainly hasn't been that type of offensive firepower here this evening, but certainly Ryder's been effective. They've taken Jerry Johnson away, but his teammates have been there to help him out, and he's helped his teammates out by finding them open shots.
The reason for the break in the action is that the officials wanted to check the video to make sure indeed that was a three-point shot. And it was, so the lead is 4 for Ryder, 72-68. 1:40 left in regulation. Goody, Todd, Sagazzi, Maxwell, and Guy, who turns, shoots, and scores.
Well, they found the soft spot of the zone defense against the 3-2 right at the high post. Guy once again comfortable facing up.
Back to a 2-point ball game. Taylor off the dribble, back out to Munoz, and here is the co-captain, Jerry Johnson.
And now you've got a different look. It's not Goody hanging all over him. It's now Todd trying to defend. Todd with some more size against Jerry Johnson.
Johnson keeps the dribble. Now Munoz with Goody on him. Shot clock winding down. Johnson with Goody flashing out. And a reach-in foul with 4 on the shot clock. And exactly 1 minute to go in the second half.
Well, they've run ball screens late in the shot clock all the time. That time Munoz with another solid screen forced the switch as Goody came out to pick him up, but then get called for the hand check.
You can see Jerry Johnson clutching at his knees. He must be worn out. Second game in less than 24 hours, and the Fairfield defense making him work for everything. 14 points now for Jerry Johnson as we take another look at the 3 by Munoz. And the officials had it right the first time.
Johnson, the top foul shooter in the MAAC, one of the top 10 in the country, and there's nobody that Don Harnum would rather have on the line late in the game than his star, Jerry Johnson.
Under a minute in regulation. Johnson now with 15 points.
They go back to Guy at the high post.
Around the rim and out. The tip-in is good.
Well, how about that? Todd, the guard, getting in to get an offensive putback opportunity, and we're back down to a 2-point game.
And Mouton has the responsibility of bringing the ball up. Now he gives to Johnson.
And how about the energy that Johnson has had to put out, just trying to get away from Taekwon Goody.
Munoz, nice look inside. Taylor gets the roll.
Terrific feed. Muñez nearly traveled with it. Kept that back foot down long enough to find Taylor.
Do you go for a 2? Do you go for a 3? What are you looking for here, Rob?
Quick 2. You got plenty of time unless you get an open 3.
There was an open 3. Guy couldn't find it. Maxwell. Boy, that was almost a chance for a 3 the old-fashioned way. Instead, he'll go to the line for 2.
The last 2 possessions, Fairfield unable to convert on the first possession, but they've been able to get after it on the offensive glass. Todd with the putback last possession. Muñez now fouls out with his 5th foul because the Bronx not able to rebound out of the zone and finished up the defensive possession.
And so now with Muñez out, they lose their best energy guy and their second best rebounder. Had himself another good game, 14 points. But now it's up to his teammates to see if they'll make it to the championship game.
Loose ball, everybody gets a hand on it. Maxwell finally picks it up and nearly picked up an opportunity for a 3-point play.
And Muñez from the floor was immediately pointing at Thompson, and the freshman raised his hand to try and tell Jim Haney, that's on me. And
he's learning quickly, huh?
Haney said, not having it. It's number 20 with the foul. So Muñez is done for the day with 15.4 seconds left in the second half.
Muñez got himself into the lane and nearly traveled. Kept that back foot down. Great feed. Nice post up by Robert Taylor, the guard, clearing space inside and got the roll.
So DeWitt Maxwell, 69% foul shooter, shooting 2.
Fairfield struggled at the line coming down the stretch last night against Manhattan. They had an opportunity to put the game away, left the door open for Manhattan. Here they're trying to open that door a little bit. They've been very good from the foul line. Up in a full court pressure, still a 1-possession game.
The door is still ajar, but here's Mouton, who's an excellent foul shooter, getting fouled. And a good job by the Rider Bronx to get the ball into either his hands or Jerry Johnson's hands.
Absolutely. Both guys at 90% on the season from the line. Johnson, a guy much more used to stepping to the line in key situations.
Nonetheless, the sophomore from Lafayette, Louisiana, who, as mentioned, a 90% foul shooter with a chance to make it once again a 2-possession game. Michael Van Scoyt comes in.
It still is a 1-and-1 foul shot here, so on a miss, Fairfield with an opportunity to rush it up the floor.
Mouton can't get the first, and so down 3, Fairfield with a chance to force overtime. 7 seconds. Todd a long way from the basket with 3 seconds to go. They're going to have to fire it up, and we've got a blocking foul by Thompson, which isn't so bad.
No, absolutely not. You want to come and challenge, make sure they don't get an open look for 3 as he stepped out to hedge that screen. As you said, not a bad play because a 3-point shot is what would have forced overtime. Now, if you're Fairfield, you've got to make one of these foul shots and try and get a miss on the second to see if you can get another opportunity.
And so Terrence Todd, the best foul shooter for Fairfield at the line. He's 4 for 4 this afternoon, over 80% on the year.
And you save your timeout until he makes the first. Good coaching by Tim O'Toole from the sideline. You take the timeout. The lead has now been cut down to 2. Solid defense. Smart play by the freshman. Trying to pick up the charge. Good call. John Cowell right on top of it with the block. But now it sets up the situation where Fairfield's got to miss this shot and then crash everybody to the boards. Remember, with the length of Den Guy, if that ball bounces up high enough, he'll go get it over top of everybody.
And my initial thought when Thompson gave the foul, it's too bad for Todd. He couldn't have just fired it up, but he's left-handed going to his right and no way to try and turn that into a 3-shot foul.
Fairfield now out of timeouts, but that's not going to matter. They've got to get a quick offensive rebound off this missed foul shot and try and put it up. See if they can't force overtime.
Indeed, their options are limited with only 1.9 seconds on the clock.
And Guy and Maxwell will be on the block, the first 2 spots. And again, hard to keep Den Guy off that block. Let's see if they get Castleberry in for his size at 7 foot. And once again, they do. Good job by Don Harnham to get his biggest lineup he can in on the floor. Thompson will be on one defensive block, and then Castleberry will be on the other. Important for the third guy up to pinch in and not allow Maxwell or Guy an opportunity to get a putback.
Here we go. Todd will be trying to miss this foul shot and hope for a tip-in that would force overtime. He missed it on Guy's side. Maxwell missed it. And that's your ball game. Ryder goes into the MAAC title game tomorrow night against Niagara.
Well, you can't get a better look than that. Great job by both coaches to execute coming down the stretch. Maxwell had a good look at it along the baseline. Just can't finish it off.
A terrific job by the free throw shooter Terrence Todd to miss to the left on Guy's side, and they got, like you said, as good a shot as you could hope for.
No, it was a long bounce, a long miss, hit the floor, went right into Maxwell's hands, had a good look at it, unchallenged. But again, good job by Fairfield to just hang in there long enough to come up with this opportunity. Guy steps in, it ricochets to the left. The little fade away would have counted in forced overtime. Instead, the Ryder Broncs get over another hump. Will advance to the MAAC championship game for the first time in school history.
Ryder University hasn't gone to the NCAAs since 1994. Now they're just one step away from getting back to the big dance. We'll be back with our postgame show from Buffalo. Ryder wins the second semifinal and will face Niagara tomorrow night.